Well, good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great day. It's very early in the morning, but hey, well, it's early in the morning for me. Let's put it that way. Um, Hope everybody is going to be safe out there today. We're going to talk about the Manitowoc Nugget Flaker ice machine today. Or we're going to go over how to clean this. If you're the customer is supposed to clean the ice machine every 6 months. I will guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, it never gets done properly. So I'm sorry, I had to plug my computer back in. It was getting a little bit low on battery, and I didn't want to lose everything. So we're going to go through it. We'll give you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. Um, but let's go ahead and let's talk a little about Encompass. Okay. Encompass is the leading provider of original replacement parts and after sales services. We're one of the after sales services. One of the other things that they do is they actually have a line that you can call in and that you can talk to a person and they can help you if you're having problems with your parts. They also have the ability for you to type in a message and it will try to find an available operator. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's if they're really busy, they'll ask you to please go ahead and put your information in, and somebody will get back in contact with you. That is not the fastest way, um, but it does work. So one of the things, like I said, this is one of the programs that we have from Encompass that actually we can use, and it helps every technician out there. So I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to let you know what we have coming up for the rest of the month. Okay, here we are right here, cleaning of the Undercounter Icemaker. We also have on July the 14th, we have a 4-day training session. That is a hands-on. They will teach you how to use a torch. If you have a technician that is not proficient, the cost is $975. It is at the Tipton Industrial Drive location. Once again, that is July the 14th through the 17th. Okay, runs from 8 to 4. I'm sorry, and that will that will get your technician proficient when he gets done. Okay, so then we have coming up to the Las Vegas training facility. There in July the 15th from 8 to 4, we have the Hisense seal system training. That's the introduction to R600 that teaches you how to do the lock ring repairs. You do not get certified with this. This is just in case you're interested in the lock ring system. Then, of course, on next Tuesday, we have the Whirlpool Cabinet washer. This is just the basic course. It just I have tried to keep up with how to get the agitator off of this thing. I'm telling you, I've tried about everything. I haven't found a great way to do it. Once it gets stuck and you can't get it off, I have had mixed experiences with that. We, one of the other problems that used to be whenever I first started in this business was getting the agitator off, and it was the same thing with some of those. But at least we were able to use to use something to slide up under the agitator and then inflate it, and it will pop the agitator off. I actually caused some huge damage to a customer's home. It drove the agitator up through the ceiling. Thank goodness my head wasn't in the way. And so it was we're going to discuss the Cabrio washer. If it looks like we have about 6 people signed up for that. So if you guys have any input into that, I welcome that. Please be on the class, and we can seriously discuss how to get this agitator off. I mean, basically, about the only way that on some of these that I have found that I can get the agitator off is to literally cut it off with a cutter. Then we have Vulcan, the use of the lock ring system. That's at the Cincinnati Training Center. That's going to be a one-day class from 8 to 12. This will also not get you certified, but it will get you so that you can. It'll help. This is an in class, so this is from 8 to 12 at the Cincinnati Training Center. Okay. One of the things that I always try to push, I have Easy Stock app on my phone and on my tablet. This is one of the best management systems out there right now. I get a really good parts lookup. I can drill down and see what my fast moving parts are. It will also if I see it and I need to I have a really fast moving part that I know, I can go in there and set it so that it actually orders the part whenever I reach that stock level that I put in. So I'll give you a perfect example. I'm going to give you an old part number. Nobody uses this part number anymore, but it's one that is always in my head because I ordered so many of those. Okay. 385317 was a Whirlpool pump. Okay. That was a fast moving part for me. For the first 10 years that I was in this business, I must have replaced at least like one a day whenever I first started because I was doing washers and dryers. Okay. So that actually, I could go in and set it so that if I got down to 2 or 3 pumps, it would automatically reorder. That is the great thing about the Easy Stock system. I'm going to get off of that. We're going to keep on moving. Okay. We've got the Hisense Seal System training again in the Las Vegas facility. That's July the 16th. Okay. We have a 2-day lock ring seal system hands-on. That's a $500 fee. That's at the Lawrenceville Training Center. This will get me certified. Okay. You get, whenever you leave out of here, if you pass all the quizzes and you pass the hands-on, you can actually get certified. You get a little certificate. I have mine somewhere. And that is July 16th and 17th. That's from 8 to 4. Okay. Then we have the Hisense freestanding range. That is at the Las Vegas Training Center. That's on July the 17th. Okay. That's from 8 to 11. All of these, you can just register for these just like you did to come to this class. Okay. Then we have the Hisense freestanding range lecture. This is from 12 to 3 at the Las Vegas training facility. All of these so far, except for the ones that I have told you that have a fee associated with them, all the rest of them are free. Okay. This one that's at the Las Vegas training facility from Hisense, that's free. Okay. This Hisense right here at Las Vegas, that's free. This Hisense is free. This one will be put on by, if I hadn't, Jesse. Jesse will be doing these, I believe. Okay. Then if you come back on July the 17th, we're going to have a Magic Chef commercial refrigerator and freezer. I should have Nick with me. I've got to get with Nick this week and make sure that he's going to be available on July the 17th. That is a free class. So if you were looking to maybe dip your toes into doing some commercial refrigeration, that would be this Magic Chef class. We can Nick can get you signed up, and you can become a Magic Chef authorized servicer. He'll have you send in an inquiry, and we can get you signed up for that. Then, of course, one of the other great trainers out there is Jennifer. Okay, she's HAVAC Check Jennifer. Okay, she was going to go through on July the 17th from 12 to 1. There's a heat transfer and refrigeration cycle with skill cats on HAVAC Check Jennifer. Okay, that is here. That is live. That is here on. Excuse me. Hang on one second. Ugh. I apologize. We've got some trees that are still pollinating a little bit, and it's starting to drive my allergies crazy. But that was with HAVAC Jennifer. That here is virtual. That's on July the 17th from 12 to 1. Okay. Then if you come back here on July the 22nd, we're going to have a garbage disposal class. If you've never worked on a garbage disposal, or you have ever had to replace a garbage disposal, this will be a class for you. It's a pretty simple thing. Once you do it, it takes you a while the first time, but you get pretty proficient at it. I can usually do one of these within about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on what I have to do to the plumbing in the side. On the underneath the sink. So that's a really good class. Then we have the Easy Stock app again on July the 23rd. Okay, that is from 3 to 4 p.m. Once again, if you don't make that first class, try to make this one. Okay, then the last class that we're going to have for the month of July is Samsung. That's the RF18A repair and some of the bulletins that are out there with it. And that will actually be my last class that I perform. So that is the month of July. We have a busy month. If you want to take a quick look at August, maybe. There we go. So once again, we have a Hisense R600 at the Dallas Training Center. So they have moved from Las Vegas to Dallas. That's August the 12th. That's 8 to 4. You want to make sure you get one of these if you're not familiar with R600. Okay. Then we have the same thing at the Dallas Training Center on August the 13th from 8 to 4. So the next day, if you can't make the 12th, you can get to the 13th here. Then once again on August the 14th, you have electrical fundamentals. That's with Skill Cat Jennifer again. Okay. Then we have Hisense freestanding range. That's at the Dallas Training Center from August the 14th from 8 to 11. Then once again on the same day, August the 14th, we have the afternoon, which is 12 to 3, and this is for the exact same class, this Hisense gas range. Then we have a 4-day training at the Dallas Training Center. Okay, that's $695 for that one. This is a seal system hands-on training. Okay. Then we have the 2-day training, seal system hands-on at the Dallas Training Center. This is for the lock ring. So we have just the regular torch from 8 to 4 on the 18th through the 21st. And then on the 21st, the 20th and the 21st, they're going to change. They're going to have another class. Okay. So then we got the easy stock inventory. And then we got the Electrolux fall training. That's at the Lawrenceville Training Center. That's something you really need to go and see. Okay. After that, we've got the Easy Stock app. We're gonna go through and train on the Easy Stock app again. I want to make sure that everybody has that. I need to make a little quick note right here because I need to let somebody know that they have an overlapping class. So I apologize about that. So give me just a second. There it went finally. Okay, that way I can let them know that this is actually something that they need to do. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We're going to get into our class and get started. Okay. Here's the information on the Easy Stock program. All you got to do is scan the QR code. It'll take you over to that. You can go ahead and get that taken care of, and you're ready to go. Okay. And if you go to this, if I go to this HTTP colon / YouTube or UTU.be / and then all of that will get you straight to the right to the Easy Stock program, and I don't have to go out and find it whenever I'm looking at YouTube videos. So I mean, all I've got to do, I'm going to go ahead and share again just right quick. Okay, so if you want, what you can do is you can actually go to YouTube. Okay. You can go right here. You can type in ENCOMPAS. Right here, you can tell that I've done this before. I go to Encompass Easy Stock app. I click on that. Whenever I do that, it comes right here and it brings me straight to this Easy Stock app. Gives me information about the Easy Stock app, and it's a really if I don't go to the class, this is a good thing, a good way to me to take and review everything. Okay, so that brings us back to where we started. Okay, so whenever I am working on this Manitowoc nugget flaker machine, that's two different types of machines. There is a flaked ice, and then there is the nugget ice. You may be familiar with the nugget ice. If you ever go to Sonic, that is nugget ice that you get from Sonic. They make those anywhere from something under the counter that or on top of the counter that you can put on, all the way up to it produces about a ton of ice a day. The problem is this ice is great to chew on. I love to chew on ice, but it is bad. It's bad for being able to keep the ice not melted. It melts real quickly because of the air that gets into it. So it's not the greatest ice for that. But hey, it's a good thing. So the one thing I need to know is, how do I locate the model and serial number information? Okay. On this Manitowoc ice machine, doesn't matter if it's the nugget or the flaker. Okay. So if we go back to this original slide, it looks like this right here. Okay. This is a picture of the Icemaker. So where is all the model and serial number information? Okay. It's on a plate on the back of the evaporator compartment. Okay. It's also on the back of the ice machine. Whenever I say a back of the evaporator compartment, whenever you pull the front of that ice machine off, it's down there on the right hand side that you can get. The best place is the one on the back. It's easier to read that one. Okay, so if I'm going to if I have a warranty claim, I've got to have the model and serial number. So I have to have that. What does this model and serial number actually tell me? Okay, if you look at this, that tells the first character is the series that it is. Okay, the next character is what type of ice maker it is. Okay, if you look, there's a regular, there's a dice, there's a half dice, there's a flake, and there's a nugget. Okay, so what's the difference between the dice and the half dice? The size of the cube itself. The half dice, of course, is half of what the size of the regular dice cube is. Okay, then the next one is the refrigerant that is in it. If you have an F, that tells you that is R404A, or it could be one of the R410s. I need to go to the model serial plate, look at that. It will tell me exactly which one it is. It tells me in the back how much refrigerant it is, what the amperage is that this unit draws. It also tells me what type of refrigerant is in there. So if you look at it, there is, if it's an F, it's a 404A. If it's a T, it's a 410A. If it's an E, it's a 134A. If it's a P, it's the R209A. Then of course you got the old one, which is the K, which is the 5. The R, I got to put these. I'm sorry, I have to. If it's the K, it's the R452A. Okay. Pardon me. I always try to warn people, please, an ice machine has 200, most of these have 230 volts. This one that's on the countertop is usually 130, but they do make a 220 volt. So you need to know that. So how do I find that? It's going to be in the model and serial plate. And I apologize about that. I thought that I had turned this off. I guess that I didn't. I apologize. Okay. So make sure that you know what kind of voltage I'm messing with. 110 grabs you and literally will hold me. If I've got any water, it'll kill me. I've been shocked by both 110 and 220, and it's no fun to get it from 220. That'll stop or start your heart in a jiff. Okay, so if I need to know anything about this Manitowoc ice machine, I have the ability to go to www.manitowocice.com/service/warranty. That will tell me, and it will get me into the warranty page, and that literally gives me all of my warranty information, my warranty registration, my warranty, I can verify my warranty. And then the one thing you really need to be sure of is that the warranty coverage begins on the day the unit was installed. The first company that I ever worked for, that's what we did. We sold ice machines. That's what they hired me for, was because I could carry an ice machine up 8 flights of stairs. So that we would sell an ice machine, but it may be a month before we get in to install it, depending on what the reason was. But it is from the day the unit is installed. So when that customer signs that, right, I need to that's the date that unit was installed. That's whenever it goes to the warranty registration. The customer is supposed to take and whenever that unit is sold, and then whenever I install it, I hand them the card. It has a warranty card. It's a postpaid card. You can go online now and do that. but that warranty card needs to get registered. If they don't register it, you're going to go by the date that it's sold, not the date that it was installed. Okay, so here's one. This one right here, the one which is the one that we're talking about today. That's the 404A refrigerant. That is a UFF 0200A. Okay. The manual that we're talking about covers all four of these stuff. Okay. So the Nugget Undercounter Icemaker. Okay. Storage capacity. Air cooled. This unit is both of these are air cooled. The only other way is a water cooled or a remote system. Once you get into one that has that produces almost 500 pounds a day, you have the ability of having the compressor located outside. Okay. One of the things that we need to make sure of is that we use whatever ice machine that you're using. Use the ice machine that it's made for it. There's several of them out there that they're totally they'll work on any ice machine. Give me just a second. Okay, sorry about that. This right here is just the regular ice machine cleaner. I don't have a good ice machine anymore. All I have is one of these countertop models, and I wasn't going to use. I just found the cheapest thing that I could find, and this was about $7 or $8. And it's just a regular ice machine cleaner. I meant to look at it. I looked at it, and it says that it was safe to use on the ice machine that I was using it on. But always make sure that you use either the manufacturer's or make sure that you read the label and make sure that it will work on the unit that you're working on. So if I have the cleaner right there, 16 ounces, there's the part number, a whole bunch of zeros and an 8-4. If I have the sanitizer, if I'm doing this every day, I'm probably going to buy the gallon. If I'm only doing it every once in a while, I'm going to get the 16 ounces. This, like I said, this is the cheap one. This one I think is a quart. This one's 32 fluid ounces. Okay. Whenever, like I said, the first company that I worked for, that's what we did was ice machines. And we bought them in the gallon size, and we all carried one of the 16 ounce bottles, so that we could divvy it up. And just whenever I got low, I would go ahead and put ice machine and pour from the gallon into the small 16 ounce size. That way, whenever I go into the customers, usually it was either a bar or a restaurant or something like that, and you could go in and you could actually had just a small bottle instead of dragging a gallon jug in. Okay. If I am in here and I am actually going to have to perform this task that we talked about, we've got to have the ice machine has got to be located in the proper location. If I come in and I work on this and I don't tell the customer, hey, these are the problems, and then I have him sign my ticket, it tells that the customer, so I now have my name on this because I literally, I'm the last one to work on it, but I have to tell them if I have problems. So if my ice machine doesn't fit any of these criteria, I've got to let the customer know. And then I write it on my service order and he signs that, and that way I can release myself if this ice machine is not for anything that's wrong about this ice machine. Okay, so you've got to meet these criteria. Okay, the location must be free of airborne and other contaminants. Let me tell you a story. I walked into a restaurant. It had a small kitchen. The ice machine was located right next to the air fryer. Well, not the air fryer, the regular fryer. It had grease all over it. So what happens? That grease is up in the air. It sucks it into that ice machine, and it was the nastiest mess you have ever seen. So since we installed it, I went back to my boss and I let him know and took pictures and showed him pictures. And he was like, I can't believe that this guy did that. But we went back out and retrofitted it. You cannot have anything with a with airborne contaminants or any other kind of contaminants. The equipment is intended for the use inside. I have walked up and somebody had an ice machine sitting outside of their restaurant. We actually void the warranty if that happened. But they didn't care because they didn't buy it from us. So they had bought it from somebody for little or nothing. So they just went ahead and did it. The problem is with it being outside, you get all of the air the air quality has to be really good. And you don't get that anywhere. And of course, I'm in the South, so we always are having something that's pollinating. Okay. So just remember, it's only intended for indoor use, not outdoor. Then the air temperature must be at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit, but it can't exceed 110. Why? Well, I became after I had moved, I was a regional service manager for Viking. And they had an under the counter ice maker. Customer's complaint was it doesn't make ice. The problem was it made ice, but it was outside underneath a bar, and the sun shined right on the front of the ice machine. Can't have that. So once again, I had to go and have the customer relocate the ice machine. Air temp must be that so it can't exceed 110 degrees. What will happen is it melts the ice. It becomes very inefficient. And then once again, the water temperature. This was down in whenever I had that one. That was down down on one of the keys. And once again, the water temperature needs to be at least 37 degrees, but cannot exceed 90 degrees. Depending on the length of the run, you may get something. What it does is it cuts the efficiency of the ice machine. Okay. Location of the machine. The machine must not be located near a heat generating equipment, i.e. a fryer, or in direct sunlight. Okay. That just goes over the two examples that I told you. The location must be capable of supporting the weight of the ice machine and the full bin of ice. People don't think about this, and then they put it on a deck, and then it goes through the floor of the deck because it had the 1/4 inch or the 5/16 boards. And if you have a ton of ice in a machine, it ain't made for that. So the location must allow enough clearance for water drain and electrical connections in the rear of the ice machine. It also has to have enough clearance around it so that whenever it will not short cycle and it will not cause the unit to it won't trip off on the high load on the high side of the Icemaker. I had one where the customers had put all kinds of packaging all around it. It didn't have the proper circulation, and it tripped it off on the ice machine. Of course, they removed everything before I got there, and whenever I got there, I couldn't understand what in the world was going on. But I caught them one time, luckily, and we put a stop to that. The location must not obstruct the airflow, which is exactly what we were just talking about. So it's got to have airflow around it from the front, the back, the sides. All of that has to have that. Okay. Under counter requirements. So if it's an under counter unit, if it's air cooled, the top I don't have to have any. The sides has to have 2 inches. The back I have to have 8 inches. Okay. The allowance must be made for removal when the ice machine is built in. Removal of the top panel is required for cleaning and sanitizing. So you have got to have this and be able to do this. One of the things that used to drive me crazy is people would build these things in and then you couldn't get to them to fix anything. Okay, so the ice machine and the bin must be level. That's the number one thing. You got to install the bin drain and the ice machine drain separately. You can't run those together. You got to have a backup. You got to at least have, and whenever I'm installing the bin drain, because there's 2 separate drains, the ice machine has a drain and then the bin has a drain. I need to have a backflow, easy for me to say. I need to have a backflow preventer on that. If you don't have that, I have a risk of something backing up into the ice machine and contaminating my whole bin of ice. I have seen several times whenever I went out, I had to change that and fix it, install a backflow preventer so that it didn't do that. Once again, another thing is the bin drain termination must have an air gap. So most of the times the air gap is basically, it's not all the way through. You just take and cut it, and then the air gap gives me the air gap that I needed. Then when local code requires, you can even have to have a backflow preventer installed on the water inlet line itself. Depends on where you're at. One of the places that's required is California, and the other is Colorado. Okay. The ice machine and the bin must be sanitized after you install it. Okay. That's just for the installer. The local water conditions may require treatment of the water to inhibit scale formation, filter sediment, and remove chlorine and odor and taste. So most of these, almost every ice machine I've been on, has a filter outside of the machine that has to be changed. It's usually somewhere between 6 months to a year, depending on where the ice machine is located, the water that it's taking in, and the sediment that's in it. So routine adjustment and maintenance procedures outlined in the course into this are not covered by warranty. Okay. Ice machine heat of rejection. Here's our UFFO20. The BTU is 2400. Ice machines, like refrigeration equipment, reject heat through the condenser. This is helpful to know the amount of rejected heat by the ice machine when sizing the ice conditioning equipment. So that's what this is for. Okay. Water and drain requirements. Of course, it's got to be potable water. That goes without saying. That means drinking water. Okay. Following the guidelines to install the water line. Do not connect the ice machine to a hot water supply. You'd be surprised. I have gone out on several, and it was hooked up to the. It was actually hooked up to the one for the ice machine was hooked in the same line, the same water line as the dishwasher. because it was easy to get to. You can't have that. Okay. If water pressure exceeds a maximum of 80 psi, then it's recommended to obtain a water pressure regulator. You can get that from local pumping supply. I also know for a fact that Encompass has that. Okay. Install the water shutoff valve. It's got to have a water shutoff valve. There's nothing worse than trying to find the shutoff valve whenever for one of these ice machines, and you spend 30 minutes looking for the shutoff valve because you don't want to cut the water off to the whole building. Okay. Then insulate water lines to prevent condensation. I also want to insulate my plumbing lines because I have condensation that also will have problems with. So depending on the area I'm in, I may want to insulate that. Some of the plumbing codes require it, so you need to know that. Drain connectors. So drain lines must have a 1.5 inch drop per 5 feet of run. It's the same thing as if I'm installing a toilet or anything else. It has to have at least a 1.5 inch drop per 5 feet of run. Okay. Floor drain must be large enough to accommodate drainage from all drains. I got called out to a school system because the ice machine wasn't working. I get out there. The problem is, it took me probably half an hour to figure out what was happening. But somebody at the school that they was hooked up to the same thing as the dishwasher. So what would happen is if the drain for the dishwasher and the drain for the ice machine went on simultaneously, it flooded the floor. Okay, so you got to make sure that it will accommodate everything. Run a separate drain line for both the bin and if I've got a water cool condenser, same thing. But I've got for the ice machine itself, I need to run a separate bin, separate drain. Drains must have a 1 inch union or other suitable means to allow in-place disconnection from the ice machine. This is from the manufacturer. Okay. Once again, my ice machine usage. Here's ours. This one uses about it uses 12 gallons per 100 pounds of ice. Okay. Supply and drain line sizing. It's pretty the same. One of the things is on some of these, we would actually install a pump, and that aided in being able to push the water out far enough and keep my ice dry. Okay. So once again, maximum temperature 37 to 90. My maximum water pressure is somewhere between 20 and 80. If I install one of these into the house, I've been into somebody that could afford things a whole lot easier than I could, and they had put one of these ice machines on a reverse osmosis system, and they had all kinds of problems. So we had to run it directly off of it and put in a water filtration of its own. Okay. So once again, the water drain is at least a half inch. The bin drain is at least 3/4, and then the capacity drain 1 inch. So you cannot run one of these on a GFCI. It says we don't recommend it. If you do, you're going to have nuisance trips. Okay. So if you come out and you find one that's on the GFCI, that's going to be your problem. Okay. We now have, I'm still good friends with several of the guys that I used to work with at Samsung. If some of the new places are requiring a GFCI for the dishwasher, and for the ice machine and for anything else in the kitchen. And they're having intermittent nuisance trips. They even put a GFCI on a range. That's a real bad idea, but you can't. That's somebody that has no idea what they're talking about putting stuff on. The people that create the codes don't know what they're doing. So minimum power cord. Okay, it comes with a power cord. Do not rip the cut power cord off and go to a smaller size. Don't mess with power cord. Do not put this unit on an extension cord. It will melt it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it will melt it. Okay. It will, I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter where it's at. Do not use a power cord at all. Okay. And of course, this is all the electrical work must be done by a licensed electrician. Okay. This is I used to have a tablet that I used for my service orders. And I had this on the front of my tablet and attached with a piece of tape. And this was just something that I checked. And it was, like I said, it was tape. So I could use a little small, what's one of those, not an indelible marker, but one of those ones you can wipe off. So that this is what I used just to make sure whenever I left the house that I had all of these checked off, and then I was good to go. And this is whenever I was servicing. Okay. So then here's the rest of it. All right. So the bin thermostat, you see it right there. And then the evaporator low temperature safety thermostat. The incorrect settings will cause the ice machine to shut off because it's thinking that that it's full. Okay. That's the bin thermostat. So if I turn it down to 2, I'm probably not going to a whole lot of ice in that bin. Okay, bin thermostat and temperature safety adjustment for ours is the UN 200. So the bin thermostat should be set at around a 5, and the evaporator thermostat should be the same. Okay, altitude. If I'm at the Mile High, Denver, Colorado, working on an ice machine, ice altitude will require an adjustment to allow the thermostat to operate. Okay. So I have to go back to the thermostat setting charts, and I will have to compensate for the altitude. Okay. In Florida, you don't have to worry about that. We're as flat as you can go. Sometimes we're below sea level. Okay. Altitude. So if I'm looking at, let's see, 8,000 feet, that's 1 3/8 of a turn to the then thermostat. That will make it so that it works properly. So there's the adjustment screw that you have to adjust. Okay. The ice machine will not start. The rocker, this is just some things that you need to check whenever you go in. The rocker switch is moved to the on position. The ice machine doesn't contact the bin thermostat, and then the ice reservoir is full of water. So if I turn on the ice machine, it starts the gear motor in the refrigeration system. The float valve will control the inlet valve and the water level. The freeze cycle ends when the ice contacts the bin thermostat. The ice machine will restart when ice is no longer contacting that bin thermostat. So there's your sensing bulb right there. It's located in the bin. Then it shows you the location of the bin thermostat and the evaporator temperature, low temperature setting. Now's what we came to today. So interior scaling and sanitizing. Maintenance procedures covered in this manual are not covered by the warranty. So this is a unit that if I am going there, what I try to do is sell the customer a PSP, a preventative maintenance program. That's the only way that you're going to keep this unit clean and up to optimum operating. Okay. So it's gonna, if I don't do this, I'm gonna have problems. Okay. Descaling and the sanitizing procedure. This procedure must be performed once every 6 months. This comes straight from Manitowoc. Okay. All ice has got to be removed from the bin. The ice machine and the bin has to be disassembled, descaling and sanitized. The ice machine produces ice with the descaler and the sanitizer solution. Okay. All ice produced during the descaling and sanitizing procedure must be discarded. So we're going to go through this procedure. First thing that has to happen is I have to empty my bin and get all the ice out. If I'm at a restaurant, I've got to have normally somebody does this either A, late at night, or B, very early. As a matter of fact, whenever I first started, I was the very early guy because most of the places that in Atlanta didn't close until sometime between midnight and 2 a.m. So we would do it first thing in the morning. So it was the easiest thing for the company that I worked for to do. Okay, so if it's heavily scaled, this is the descaling procedure. Perform this procedure if you have some or all of these symptoms. If I hear a grinding, a popping, or a squealing noise from the evaporator, if I hear a grinding noise from the gearbox, or that the ice machine trips the speed sensor. So this unit has a unit that goes around and it pushes the ice up as it comes in. It actually starts to freeze as it starts to push the ice up. This ice machine speed sensor is the rotation of that auger, and that will trip that speed sensor. So if it's really dirty or has heavily scaled, that's what we're going to run into. So, like I said, the company that I worked for, we install these. The owner actually he also sold ice machines on a loaner system where they didn't own the ice machine. We actually still owned it. So we would make sure that we never had this problem. Although later on, you're going to find that there are sometimes you're going to end up with this gearbox noise. Okay. Exterior cleaning. I've got to remove the dust and the dirt off the exterior surfaces, and I use a mild household dishwashing detergent and warm water. I wipe that dry with a clean and soft cloth. That's all I have to do for the exterior cleaning. Okay. Descaling and sanitizing. I have to have a metal safe ice machine descaler. If you use their part, it's the 4,000 zeros plus an 8.4. If I'm going to use the ice machine sanitizer for them, it's a 9405653. Okay. So this unit right here is metal safe. Okay. So if I use that, I've got to make sure that is metal safe. So I'm going to remove all the ice, turn off the ice machine water supply, and drain the water from the evaporator and the reservoir. Remove the top cover from the water reservoir. Then I'm going to follow the chart at the premix descaler and water solution. I'm going to fill the evaporator and the reservoir with the descaling solution after I do that. Okay. Then I'm going to move the toggle switch to the on position. The ice machine will make ice with the descaling solution and deposit the ice into the bin. Add the remaining descaling solution as the water level in the ice as the water level drops. And then do not allow the descaler water level to drop below the minimum water level. The ice machine will stop the descaling cycle if the float switch opens. So that's why, and you've got the water turned off, so you'll never get it. So then step number 8, after all of the descalers water solution has been added, turn the ice machine to the making water supply. Turn on the ice machine water supply. Then continue the freeze cycle for 10 minutes to remove all the descaling solution from the ice. Okay. Place the toggle switch to the off position again. That's step number 9. Then step 10, I'm going to remove the parts of the unit for the descaling and sanitizing. Disassemble all of the disassemble the parts for the hand descaling and sanitizing. Then I'm going to hand descale the parts, rinse all the parts with clear potable water, sanitize all the parts. Do not use a rinse after you sanitize. If I rinse all these parts, any of them, off after I sanitize them, it's not sanitized anymore, and you have to go back and re-sanitize it. Okay. Spray all the interior bin surfaces with the sanitizer. Do not rinse the sanitized areas, and then spray the evaporator discharge spout. You want to make sure that you do this part right here. This is the part that everybody forgets. Okay. Then I'm going to reassemble the ice machine. I'm going to turn off the ice maker, turn off the ice making water supply. And then here's my chart that we were talking about. I'm going to use 4 liters of water to 15 milliliters of the sanitizer. Okay. So basically what I'm doing is a gallon of water to about, I think it's 6 ounces of sanitizer. Hang on a second. I'm going to ask Siri, what is the amount of convert to milliliters to ounces? How much is 15 milliliters of water converted to ounces? That is actually only 5 ounces. Okay. Move the toggle switch to the on position. The ice machine will make ice with the sanitizer water solution and deposit the ice into the bin. Okay, I'm going to add the remaining sanitizing water solution when the ice water level is in ice water level drops below that line. And then after that, the sanitizer water solution has been added. Turn the ice machine, turn on the ice making water supply, and then continue the freeze for 30 minutes. And then I must discard all the ice that it has produced. Okay. This is why this takes so long. It's because you see that one had to, so far we've done this twice and it's been 30, we've got an hour in it. Okay. Step 7 is remove the toggles, the switch, turn the switch out to the on position. The ice machine will, I'm sorry, how did that happen? Okay. I got that duplicated. So the procedure to descale heavily flaked ice on the machine. Okay, remove the top and the front covers, set the toggle switch to off, remove all the ice from the bin, turn the ice machine water supply, turn it off, remove the top cover from the water supply, and then I'm going to show you this. Then I'm going to pre-mix the descaler with lukewarm water. This is what I always recommend is if I'm doing my descaling, I use lukewarm water. So basically, it should be somewhere around 75 to 90 degrees. Okay. So here it is. our UF0244, my water reservoir, it will hold 400 milliliters. So if I'm going to mix my descaler, I need 266 milliliters of descaler, and then I'm going to use 148 milliliters of water. So if you look at this, it's basically a 2-to-1. My descaler is a whole lot more than my water. Okay. Remove all the water from the evaporator and the water reservoir. Add the entire descaler water solution and reinstall the reservoir cover. Leave the descaler solution in the evaporator for a minimum of 4 hours. Not minutes, hours. This is why it takes so long. Okay. Remove all the descaler water from the evaporator and the water reservoir. Okay. Step 8 is to follow standard descaling procedures. So this is for one that is heavily scaled. Okay. Then I'm going to remove all the parts for descaling and sanitizing, remove the top of the water, remove the components for sanitizing and descaling. I'm going to soak the parts in the properly mixed solution of descalering water. Of course, there's 4 liters to 500 milliliters of descaler. So use a soft bristle brush or a sponge. Don't use a wire brush. If I'm using it on the auger, I can destroy the auger, and I have to spend about the last time I fixed one where I had to replace the auger, it was almost $800. So to carefully descale the parts. So I'm going to use that soft bristle brush. That's what I use. I don't use a sponge. I like a little soft bristle brush. Use the part solution and brush or sponge the descaling off all of those disassembled parts, and then I'm going to put that back inside the bin. Then I'm going to rinse all the descaled parts with clear water. Then I'm going to change it and mix it to sanitizer. Okay, so the sanitizer is, of course, 11 liters of water to 600 milliliters of sanitizer. So soak the parts in the sanitizer and water solution for 10 minutes. Use the sanitizer water solution in a sponge and sanitize all the removed parts. Do not rinse all the sanitized parts. Then continue with step 11 of the descaling and sanitizer solution. Okay, here it is. Here's step number 10 is disconnect the water supply. Step number, remember, 11, remove all the water reservoir cover. It shows you a picture of it right here. Okay, remove the micro switch, the bin thermostat from the chute. That's at the very top. Okay, remove the retainer ice chute elbow and ice chute. There is that shows you what parts you're removing right there. Okay, then if I have an air-cooled condenser, which all of these are air-cooled, clean the outside of the condenser with a soft bristle brush or a vacuum with a brush attachment. Shine a flashlight through the condenser to check the dirt between the water and fins. If the dirt remains, I have to have some method for get rid of the contamination. Okay. Then modular units clean the washable filter with a mild soap and water solution. So this is the washable filter. It's attached whenever you go, and it's back on the back side. It tries to catch some of the contaminants that goes through. So that needs to be cleaned every month. Okay. Then if I'm going to remove it, if I'm going to put this thing in, if I'm going to have it outside and like it's not supposed to be, if I'm going to do winterization of it, I'm going to descale and sanitize the ice machine. I'm going to press the power button, turn the ice machine off. Basically, all I'm doing is going back and I am winterizing the whole unit. The only difference from this and fixing it. Oops. Boom. Fill the spray bottle with sanitizer and spray the interior food surfaces. Do not rinse. Allow it to dry, and then replace all the panels. That's how I do the same thing as I normally do. Okay. This is my wiring diagram. Okay. This unit uses a simple on-off switch, which is the far right red box. Okay. You can see it right there. If you go down to should be number 7. Nope. Must be, it said the far right. Oh, it's far left. Okay. My bad. That is the number 24 on the far left side, and that's the on-off switch. Okay. It also has, once again, the bin thermostat, and it also has the part number 7 itself is the low temperature evaporator. Okay. The low pressure control. So I've got a bin thermostat, which is part number 11. And then I've got this low pressure thermostat that's part number 7. You can see that this, as it comes through, I've got my line voltage coming in, and then it goes through and it splits, and it goes. The first thing it goes to is the fan motor, and then it goes through the number 17 is the water level switch, and then it goes straight into these other switches. Then it flakes off and goes down to the motor, and it all starts. Okay. All right. So if you have any questions, you can go right here. Here's a YouTube video to teach you how to work on this unit. If you have any questions, please let me know. I really appreciate you allowing me to support your business. Anybody have any questions? Okay. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to ask that you